One of the things that I know a lot of people in this country are going to be curious about, we've just heard that we are facing unprecedented energy bills in this country for domestic customers. What is there that Qatar can do to help the UK right now?
Well, first, thank you for hosting me on your channel. It's a pleasure to be in the UK. You see, if you look at the energy crisis and what's happening around the world, this started really many months or even years, I'd say, before the Ukraine crisis.
So really before Russia and Ukraine?
Yeah, definitely before that. I mean, if you look at what happened with the transition and the discussion of the transition, a lot of companies in the oil and gas sector did not invest in oil and gas, especially in the gas sector. So that was much needed. But if you look from 2015 until now, year on year, there has been a 20% reduction in capital expenditure. And that was really amplified when you had the COVID issue with the revenues coming down in all oil and gas companies, and really stagnation, if you will, in the entire world movement with the COVID and what was going on. What happened is really that came down to about 35% reduction in capital expenditure. So the supply that you needed for energy after the COVID was over and people started, the economy started to churn back again, wasn't available. And with oil and gas projects, even if you decide today you want to have an LNG plant built in a country with the wells and drilling and everything that needs to take place, to have it produced for the customer, it's about 7 to 10 years. So there's a lag. It will eventually be corrected by more investment in the energy sector, and I think countries are realizing. And then, of course, the Ukraine issue amplified that tremendously with the energy security issues and the lack of supply that's available. But now you'll see that the countries have been, I think, changing their strategy, where they're saying we need the transition, but we need additional supply from everybody in the oil and gas industry and around the world, so that we have ample supplies that would bring the prices down. And prices are higher. It's a sheer supply-demand issue.
But what you're saying is that actually, this goes way back before Russia, Ukraine. It's because what? Because we weren't encouraging enough investment in oil and gas exploration? Is that the issue? Does it go back? Is it a deeper issue than just something that's happened a few months ago?
I think it's definitely a deeper issue, and it was there for more than 5 years, where there was a build-up to countries and really legislators around the world pushing for the transition in a very hard way.
When you say transition, you mean net zero? You mean
net zero, and going to renewables and really doing away with fossil fuel and demonizing oil and gas companies, that they are the bad guys, if you will. And by that, you don't have enough investment in the oil and gas sector. So that in turn had, when the legislators put that in place and put pressure on the companies, banks went into the same. They wanted to only fund green and so on. And I think you can actually strike a balance between having energy sector that can be responsible and do the right things with technologies available for carbon capture, sequestration, and so on. So coupled with that, I think we have a very good solution where you have gas available while you're also investing in renewables like solar, wind, and so on. We absolutely need to change our behavior and make sure that the energy transition is on track, but I think you need to do both. And we think, as Qatar, that gas is definitely part of the solution for your baseload requirement in energy, because the wind does not blow all the time and the sun does not shine all the time.
But so a lot of people would say what we're going through now is the West is kind of a victim of circumstances. Some would say it is it's brought this upon itself. Which of those is true?
I think it's, as I said, it's something that is fundamental that was done to change the supply structure and the energy sector as a whole, and then coupled with what was amplified by the Ukraine issue.
Right.
Okay, so it's a little bit of both, but the Ukraine issue really put in the forefront energy security as a different issue that we need, or countries need to deal with. You know, as an example, Germany and their turnaround to really wanting to have full diversity, if you will, and now going from not having LNG terminals to building maybe 5 in the very near future. And that circumstances have changed, and I think companies and countries are changing. But I think we're all realizing, and I think countries and I think legislators all around the world, you need energy transition. We need to do something about climate change. We need to be more responsible in fossil fuel development, but we need fossil fuels, and we need them for a very long time. And gas especially is going to be part of the base load that you'll need for many years to come.
And what part can Qatar play in that? How much can you help now, given that prices are incredibly high for consumers right now? We need more gas, especially this winter. How can you help?
You see, we've taken a decision a few years back, maybe in 2017, we decided that we're going to increase our gas development. Our LNG production currently stands at 77 million tons. We decided that we're going to take it to 126 million tons, and we embarked on that project, and that project is being constructed today. What we did also is we secured additional capacity that we own now in Montois in France. We're receiving facilities for our LNG in Zeebrugge terminal, where there was a process that we won. Here, I mean, we're in the UK, so let's talk about the UK a little bit. We have South Hook terminal in Wales, where we have a capacity of 15.6 or 16 million tons per annum of LNG that we can bring into the UK. If we bring that entire capacity, it's about 20% of your requirement on an annual basis. We also actually bought capacity in Isle of Grain in the west of the UK for 7.2 million tons per annum for 30 years, or you know, so we're really investing into the UK heavily to make sure that you have ample supplies in the future. In addition to that, we've applied and we are going to be building an expansion of South Hook, going from 16 million tons to about 20 million tons in the next few years, which is again hundreds of millions of investments. So having these inlets, if you will, for gas or receiving facilities, UK already is the biggest holder of capacity, LNG capacity in Europe. And by doing that, we're only making you bigger as a capacity holder, if you will. And we look to supply the UK with LNG for a very long time, us and others.
But this is all quite stuff that understandably takes quite a long time to build and to get up and running. Is it just pragmatically quite difficult to suddenly turn the taps on? Does it work like that?
It doesn't, and that's why you see when we decided in 2017 we're going to have this production increase, we're going to have it online by 2025. So
right.
It takes time to build. But we took the decision before anybody was even thinking about this. And so we had the foresight, I think, in believing that there is going to be a supply shortage. Anybody, I mean, could tell you it could be 2025 or 2030, but we took the decision, we invested. In addition to volumes that we're going to bring in from Qatar, we also have a project in the US which has 16 million tons per annum of supply capability that will come online actually ahead of Qatar in 2024. That is also destined for Europe.
And how does it feel having had a good few years where the message you were getting from Europe was actually you need to cut back on fossil fuels, and now suddenly everyone here wants to talk to you and they want you to be pumping more gas there. Yeah. How does that feel to go from one extreme to the other?
I think everybody had hopes with good intention and belief that they can go into a transition in a much more expedited way. And I think in reality what they saw is year on year they can't increase that capacity of wind, solar and renewables in the pace that they thought they could. And I think with good intentions, that was the objective, but I think they couldn't achieve it, and it's difficult to achieve exactly what they thought they could achieve. Technology improvement is going to have us do much more. I mean, hydrogen is in its infancy, but we need to learn much more, and hydrogen is also going to be helping. We need all kinds of energy sources to pitch in, if you will, for us to grow as a humanity. But gas is definitely a big part of the solution. And as I said earlier, I mean, wind does not blow all the time. Sun does not shine all the time. Definitely here in the UK, it's not going to shine all the time. In Qatar, 365 days it would shine. So everywhere is different and everybody is unique. But I think all of us collectively working together with gas as part of the solution, I think is the solution for the long term.
And gas, and again, you're being quite diplomatic, but I know that there are people certainly within the oil and gas community who feel frustrated that there were quite strong messages. Also, the cost of capital kind of has been going up because of this movement to ensure that we get to net zero sooner. So, do you feel somewhat frustrated about having been sent mixed messages? One thing one year, the other next year?
No, actually, maybe you think I am being diplomatic, but actually I'm not. I mean, that's my view. But if you talk about the net zero part of it, okay, that's where I think a lot of people were saying, I'm not a native English speaker, but when you say I will achieve net zero, it means you have a plan, a budget, and you will achieve it. The majority of the countries that have announced net zero actually aspire to, have a plan to hopefully achieve. But will means you have a plan and you have a budget and you know how you're getting there. If you ask the majority of the countries, they will tell you, we will get to a certain percentage of that by 2040. And then technology improvement hopefully will get us to net zero by 2050, which means that they are just saying what is right or politically right to say, but they actually don't have a plan.
I mean, how does that kind of strike you as someone who's trying to think in the very long term?
To me, we were absolutely convinced you can't achieve the transition without fossil fuels. And the best fossil fuel available to mankind is gas. And that's the cleanest. And if you couple it with using carbon capture and sequestration, using the best technology available for your emissions, and you couple it with having the shipping element to being the cleanest shipping available, where we're fueling our new ships purely on LNG. There is no liquid fuel or any hydrocarbon that's the heavier hydrocarbons that they use today. And ensuring that we also use part of the power that's used for our LNG uses solar in our back in Qatar. In addition to that, we're helping humanity overall and people that buy our gas to get rid of coal and liquid fuels. So in our, the way I see it is the gas is the solution, and it's the solution if you do it in the right way, that you're cleaning up that value chain as much as you can technically and what technology provides today, in addition to helping others get off the more polluting areas. So I think we're doing a great service by having more gas, us and others, by having more gas available to humanity as a whole, to get rid of the less of the more polluting fossil fuels, if you will.
Final thing on energy. Do you have a particular message, to households in the UK who are looking at their gas bills and just wondering, how has it got to this? Why are they so expensive? How do we find ourselves in a new energy crisis? And why are we the victims to some extent?
You see, the issue is you're in a global market. Whether it's UK, Europe, Qatar, anywhere you go, it's the same market. And people, look at oil and gas as substitutes in some areas and so on. But overall, everybody, whether it's in the UK, it's in US, it's in Qatar, they're paying roughly the same thing. It's just logistics are different. So if you look at continental Europe today, the spot price gas is much higher than UK.
I know.
Okay, and the reason for that is you have a lot of inlets for gas, and you have an interconnect, and you have pipelines coming from Norway and so on. So you
have your LNG coming to us.
We have our LNG, our and others LNG that come to you. We're happy to serve this market, but at the end, it's because you have all that gas that's available. If you look at Europe and why it's higher, they don't have enough terminals that are built. You go to Spain in the south, they have ample capacity with spare capacity, but Spain is sort of an island in the gas business because there isn't enough interconnect.
But the irony is it's not benefiting households here because our futures prices are still very high.
I understand.
So households are still frustrated because they see all your gas coming in, they see the day ahead price is very low, but it doesn't directly benefit them.
Yeah, I think you see, we go back to promoting more investment in gas worldwide, and our companies. I think the UK has taken very courageous moves, if you will, in opening up gas blocks to have more indigenous gas come in to support the UK. They're working on hydrogen, they're working on renewables, you have wind, you have that. So you're in a better shape than a lot of other countries in my view, but I think this will take time. With investment going into, I think oil and gas companies are now investing in gas, it will take time, but with more investments and supporting investments and more supporting banks to help gas producers to invest, that will eventually bring the price down because you'll have more supply. Unfortunately, it's a little bit painful because it will take time, amplified by the Ukraine issue.
Right, but you're ready to help.
We're absolutely ready. I mean, the UK is a very important country for us in Europe, and we will definitely do our best to help.
Final question I have to ask you, because it's the World Cup coming up. A lot of people looking at Qatar, also reading stories about how open you're going to be welcoming all sorts of people of different sexualities, different cultural backgrounds. How open is this World Cup going to be?
Qatar is a country that has 300 people living in it. The Qatari, native Qataris are about 300,000. We have nationality, more than 150 nationalities that work with us. They work in harmony with all of us in Qatar to develop our country in different sectors, whether it's oil and gas or other sectors. It's the safest country in the world by as far as actual safety of people walking around, and this is well known. It's a welcoming culture where we welcome everybody from all religions, all walks of life, and everybody is welcome no matter where they're coming from, what their allegiances, what their preferences are. They're all welcome to Qatar, and they can come and enjoy the World Cup and also learn about our culture and learn about how what our traditions are, what's our religion, and so on. But everybody is welcome, and we don't have any kind of discrimination against anybody. Everybody is welcome to Qatar.
Okay, well, we are all very looking forward to that a lot.